Dear viewers, welcome to a new episode of Al the Quack, the Genius. In 2013, an episode aired about a character named Dab, a bear-like, satirical cartoon character, who suddenly runs for a seat in the UK Parliament. At first, his approach is humorous and odd, but over time, he gains a lot of support and popularity due to his strange opinions. This bear character's method of dealing with serious debates was to avoid them by insulting his opponents. Every time he got into a discussion, he would insult the other side. Not only did he mock his political opponents, but he also made fun of the entire political system. The character's ability to confuse his rivals with his bold statements, whether true or not, stemmed from the fact that he didn't play by the rules of the system. His popularity came from voters who had lost trust in traditional candidates, those who always appeared in suits and ties, making big promises about hospitals, schools, and the economy, but never delivered. When a character like Dab emerged, people saw him as someone who spoke the common man's language, insulting the political establishment in a way that felt real to them. This brings us to 2016 when, 3 years after the Dab character's rise, another figure, Donald Trump, won the US presidential elections. Many articles and studies began comparing Trump's rise to that of Dab, pointing out that both used humor and unconventional methods to win over voters, especially those disillusioned with the system. Let's rewind to February 2011. Donald Trump was about to speak at the Conservative Political Action Conference, CPAC, in Washington, D.C. His appearance shocked the audience, as they didn't expect to see someone like him there. The organizers had hoped to find a famous, right-wing figure to speak, but Trump was an unusual choice. He wasn't just famous, he was also a donor to the Republican Party and had been involved in media through his reality show, The Apprentice. He had also written The Art of the Deal, one of the best-selling books of all time. At the time, Trump had yet to be known for his controversial and racist views, and his status wasn't merely that of a businessman. He was a media personality with massive public visibility. The organizers thought having Trump as a speaker would be an exciting move, like bringing in a magician for a birthday party, something to grab attention and energize the audience. Before he went on stage, Trump was nervous. This was unlike the confident Trump we know today. But when he finally spoke, he quickly made a joke about President Barack Obama, claiming Obama wasn't born in the United States, stirring up the birther conspiracy theories. These rumors, which had been circulating on the internet, suggested that Obama was born in Kenya and therefore wasn't eligible to be president. At the time, no major political figure had openly supported this theory, as it was baseless and could ruin their careers. But Trump embraced it, and the audience responded enthusiastically, even applauding him for saying what many secretly believed. Trump's statement sparked public attention, particularly among rural and working-class voters, and even fueled the Tea Party movement, a conservative political movement that emerged in 2009 in opposition to government intervention in the economy and immigration policies. Trump's remarks attracted millions of supporters, especially those dissatisfied with Obama's policies. In 2011, Obama responded to Trump's claims during the White House Correspondents' Dinner, mocking him for obsessing over irrelevant conspiracy theories. Obama joked that Trump should focus on real issues instead of pushing baseless accusations, and even suggested that if Trump ran for president, the White House might turn into a casino and golf course. Despite Obama's mockery, Trump's popularity continued to grow. Many saw his blunt style as a reflection of their own frustrations with the political system, and it was during this period that Trump made the real decision to run for president in 2016. In April 2011, during the White House Correspondents' Dinner, President Obama began his speech by mocking Donald Trump, who was sitting among the guests. He joked that Trump would finally be able to relax now that Obama's birth certificate was confirmed, and he could focus on more important issues. Obama continued with jokes about various conspiracy theories, such as the moon landing being fake and extraterrestrial life in Egypt. Obama was poking fun at Trump's obsession with these unimportant issues. After Obama's speech, the audience continued to laugh and joke, but Trump left the event early without saying a word. This was a moment when Trump, who had previously flirted with the idea of running for president, realized that the political stage had changed. He had been mocked by Obama, but instead of backing down, Trump decided to take the next step seriously. Many people at the time thought that Obama's jokes and Trump's response marked the beginning of his real commitment to run for president. Even though Trump had teased the idea of running for president several times in the past, especially during the 1980s and 1990s, each time he backed out at the last minute, people assumed it was just a publicity stunt. But this time, after the White House Correspondents' Dinner, something changed for him. Trump's decision to run was no longer a joke, it became a serious political move. His bold, controversial style, like that of the Dab character, attracted attention and support from people who felt disconnected from the traditional political elites. This marked the beginning of a new chapter in American politics. The moment Obama laughed at Trump was, ironically, the moment that inspired Trump to truly commit to his presidential run. And so, in 2016, Donald Trump made history by winning the US presidency, following a path not unlike that of the fictional Dab character, who had shocked everyone with his rise to power. He made him register the slogan, "Make America Great Again." He rushed to get the slogan, which was part of an old campaign used by Ronald Reagan in the 1970s. And this, my dear, is where a new chapter begins in the life of Donald Trump. Actually, it wasn't exactly a new chapter when Trump announced in 2015 that he was running for President of the United States. Everyone, my dear, thought it was a joke. Even his opponents and enemies within the Republican Party didn't take him seriously. But let me surprise you and say that when he started beating other party candidates in his own way, using his father's method, the Black Mirror style, the cartoonish way full of insults, direct attacks, low blows, and above-the-belt punches, in debates and rallies, Donald Trump became the Republican nominee facing Hillary Clinton, the Democratic nominee. Donald Trump was the first presidential candidate without any government or political experience. While American politicians were busy traveling to conferences, elections, Congress, the Senate, and polls, Trump was rejecting employees in his reality show and living his own life. The truth is, Trump didn't need political experience to become President of the United States. What he needed was a Twitter account. Hillary Clinton's campaign, on the other hand, kept focusing on making Trump look like a joke, a nervous, crazy clown, someone unfit to hold power. But the truth is that this joke hid a very important reality. Donald Trump had real popularity among American citizens. In every election he entered, he gathered millions of votes. Even in the 2020 election against Joe Biden, although he lost, he still got 74 million votes, which was 47% of the votes, the second highest in history. When you see such huge popularity and real connection with millions of loyal supporters, you'll realize that this man is not just a joke or a historical mistake. He is a phenomenon that needs to be understood and taken seriously. He is not a clown, especially when you find out that behind this clown are 74 million people. Even if you consider him a clown, you have to recognize his serious influence, not just in his own country but in the world. We need to go back to the roots of this story, which is Trump's sudden appearance on the political scene. To understand the beginnings, we must answer the most important question of this episode: who is Donald Trump? On June 14, 1946, Donald Trump was born in Brooklyn, New York, as the second son of the real estate mogul in the state and the grandson of a German immigrant named Friedrich, who arrived in America in 1885. His grandfather came to America dreaming of quick wealth, and by fate, he built his fortune in real estate, and according to some sources, through suspicious activities. But that's not our focus. Trump's father, Fred, raised Donald in a religious, evangelical environment, which viewed financial success as a sign of God's approval. If you weren't financially successful, it was seen as a sign that God wasn't pleased with you. This belief was reinforced by the book The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale, an evangelical figure. The book was full of inspiring stories of successful businessmen and became a guiding principle for Trump throughout his life. The main idea was always to think of yourself as successful and never allow the thought of failure to enter your mind. If you failed, you were supposed to deny it and consider yourself a winner, no matter the situation. Donald also learned from his father that success divided people into two groups, the winners and the losers. For him, winning meant that someone else had to lose, and losing wasn't an option. He took this idea and turned it into aggressive behavior and bullying towards his classmates in school. When his classmates went to complain to the teachers about his bullying, he bullied the teachers as well. As a result, his father had to send him to a military boarding school, a strict place meant to teach wealthy, spoiled kids discipline and strength, almost like a prison. In this school, Donald learned that in order to survive, you didn't just need to be a bully, you needed to be the leader of the bullies. He also learned the art of manipulation. If we were to write a book on the art of manipulation, it would surely be a bestseller, and I believe Donald Trump could have written it. He learned how to play the system to get what he wanted from his teachers. He respected their authority but never allowed them to see any weakness in him, because if they saw him as weak, they would consider him an easy target. Here, Donald found himself in a competitive, male-dominated world, surrounded by bullies and people who saw him as prey. He knew that to survive, he had to be strong. Despite the harsh military discipline in his school, he excelled as an athlete and became the leader of one of the student groups. Bullying became Trump's weapon to prove to the world, especially to his father, that he was strong and capable of meeting his family's expectations. His family believed that a successful businessman's instinct was to be a predator. This harsh attitude toward life meant that the rich would get richer because the poor would get poorer, and if you encountered a crisis, you had to place your child under your foot and step on anyone who stood in your way. Now, not every child who faced such pressure ended up like Donald Trump. Sometimes, it creates victims, like his older brother, Fred Jr., who couldn't meet his father's standards for success. Fred Jr. just wanted to be a normal person, not a ruthless businessman. He became addicted to alcohol and died when he was only 40 years old. As a result, Donald Trump avoided alcohol, smoking, and drugs for the rest of his life. His brother's tragic death planted two ideas in Donald's mind. First, he was genuinely sad about Fred's death, and second, he believed that Fred's life ended in this way because he was a loser, and that would not be his fate. Donald was determined to succeed, not just by meeting his father's expectations but by surpassing them. He was not just going to meet the standards, he was going to escape his father's grip to achieve even more. After graduating from the University of Pennsylvania, Donald began his journey to build his fortune with a simple help from his father, $1 million. Let me tell you, even though that amount was large, when you consider that Trump turned that million into nearly $4.6 billion today, as of the time this episode was filmed, you'll see how he became the most famous and important figure in his family. Donald Trump, who benefited from his family's connections and economic power, quickly began expanding his real estate empire, leveraging his family's reputation in the business world. Despite his controversial beginnings, Trump became one of the most prominent public figures in America thanks to his unique marketing strategies and reliance on media technology and social media to maintain a constant state of fame. Trump successfully employed the controversial personality approach, drawing attention with every move he made. Through provocative and sensational statements, whether in politics, media, or other areas, he created a large audience of supporters who found resonance with his views on immigration, the economy, and the political system in general. In the following years, his election campaigns became the focal point of attention worldwide. His unexpected victory over Hillary Clinton in the 2016 presidential election demonstrated how he was able to influence public opinion in an unprecedented way, despite the massive political challenges and opposition he faced. Initially seen as just a clown, or a provocative media figure, Trump became the leader of the world's largest economy, making his behavior and ideas a significant part of global politics. When his persona was viewed as nothing more than a media spectacle, the truth was that this spectacle had turned into a political phenomenon influencing global events, showing that Trump was not just a TV personality or joke, but a profound political figure in modern history. This shift in the public perception of Trump, from a questionable figure to one of the most powerful political figures in contemporary history, remains a crucial point in understanding how politicians can have a significant impact in the era of social media and media-provoked controversy, where controversial personalities are used to change power dynamics and achieve long-term goals. Trump's time in office further solidified his status as a transformative political figure. His presidency was marked by a series of polarizing decisions and actions that resonated with his base but sparked widespread criticism from opponents. His America First policies, which focused on nationalistic ideals and economic protectionism, reshaped America's foreign relations and trade policies, leading to a redefined role for the U.S. in global affairs. Domestically, Trump's administration pushed through tax cuts, deregulation efforts, and judicial appointments, leaving a lasting impact on the country's legal and economic landscape. His handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, however, became one of the most contentious aspects of his presidency, with many accusing him of downplaying the crisis and failing to adequately respond to the growing public health threat. Trump's use of social media, particularly Twitter, became a defining characteristic of his leadership. His tweets, often controversial and inflammatory, allowed him to directly communicate with the public, bypassing traditional media outlets. This created a direct line to his supporters but also amplified the divisions within the country. Despite facing impeachment twice, Trump remained a central figure in American politics even after leaving office. His influence continued to shape the Republican Party, with many of his policies and rhetoric being adopted by a new generation of conservative leaders. Trump's legacy is one of both admiration and disdain, but there is no denying the seismic shift he brought to American politics, redefining how politicians engage with the public and how media shapes political discourse in the 21st century. Ultimately, Trump's presidency highlighted the growing power of media, celebrity, and controversy in modern politics. His ability to navigate and manipulate the media landscape, combined with his unapologetic personality, enabled him to not only survive but thrive in the highly charged and divisive world of contemporary American politics. His story is a testament to how unconventional paths to power, when coupled with strong personal branding and media savviness, can create lasting change in the political world. Trump's post-presidential years have been just as dramatic and influential as his time in office. After leaving the White House in January 2021, he remained a dominant force within the Republican Party. He continued to challenge the outcome of the 2020 election, falsely claiming widespread voter fraud and perpetuating the idea that the election was stolen. This rhetoric played a major role in fueling the January 6, 2021, Capitol riot, where a mob of his supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol in an attempt to prevent the certification of Joe Biden's victory. The aftermath of the Capitol riot led to Trump's second impeachment, making him the first U.S. president to be impeached twice. However, he was acquitted both times by the Senate, a sign of his continued sway over the Republican Party, even in the face of legal and political challenges. Despite these controversies, Trump remained an influential figure in the political landscape. His endorsements of candidates in Republican primaries helped shape the party's direction, with many seeking his approval to solidify their political futures. His supporters continued to rally behind him, keeping his political brand alive and well. Trump's ongoing influence also raised questions about the future of the Republican Party and American democracy. His populist rhetoric, aggressive style, and disdain for traditional political norms have left an indelible mark on U.S. politics. As of 2024, Trump continues to be a potential candidate in the presidential race, with some predicting that his return to the White House could continue to disrupt the status quo. In many ways, Donald Trump's political journey represents a shift in American politics toward a more populist, media-driven, and divisive approach. His legacy will likely be debated for decades to come, with some viewing him as a champion of ordinary Americans against the political elite, while others see him as a danger to democratic institutions. Whatever the final judgment, his impact on the political landscape is undeniable. The continuing influence of Donald Trump in American politics also raises important questions about the future of the Republican Party and American democracy. His unique approach to leadership, which often involves confrontation, populism, and direct engagement with his base, has forced both his supporters and detractors to re-evaluate their positions. For many Republicans, his ability to mobilize voters and win elections is undeniable, and his influence over party politics remains a driving force. His stronghold on the party is evident in the way many GOP politicians align themselves with his views or seek his endorsement in elections. However, Trump's leadership has also created a deep divide within the party. While he enjoys widespread support among a significant portion of the electorate, there is an ongoing struggle within the party between traditional conservatives and the more populist faction led by Trump. This tension could have long-term consequences for the party's unity and electoral prospects. The GOP faces the challenge of reconciling these factions, and whether it can maintain its broad appeal or become increasingly fractured remains to be seen. On the other hand, Trump's impact on American democracy has sparked debates about the nature of democratic institutions and the strength of political norms. His presidency and post-presidency have tested the resilience of democratic systems, including the rule of law, the separation of powers, and the integrity of the electoral process. Critics argue that his disregard for these norms has eroded trust in democratic institutions and created an atmosphere of political polarization. Some fear that his brand of populism, which often involves undermining the legitimacy of political opponents and casting doubt on election results, could further destabilize American democracy. Despite these concerns, Trump's supporters argue that his unconventional style and disregard for the political establishment are exactly what America needs. They view him as a champion of the forgotten Americans, who have been left behind by the political elite and the Washington establishment. For them, his political outsider status and willingness to challenge the status quo make him a unique figure in American politics. Looking ahead to the 2024 election, Trump's political future remains uncertain. His ability to maintain his base of support, navigate legal challenges, and appeal to a broader electorate will be key factors in determining whether he can reclaim the presidency. However, regardless of the outcome, Trump's influence on the Republican Party and American politics is undeniable. His legacy will continue to shape political discourse for years to come, and his impact on the nation's political landscape will be a subject of intense debate and analysis for generations. In the end, Trump's story is not just about one man's rise to power, but about the larger forces at play in American society, the deep divides between urban and rural voters, the tensions between globalization and nationalism, and the changing nature of political identity in an increasingly polarized world. His legacy is bound to be contentious, but it is also a reflection of the broader challenges and transformations occurring in the United States today. As we continue to reflect on Donald Trump's impact, one of the central themes that emerges is the shifting landscape of American politics. His presidency and ongoing influence underscore a broader transformation in the political system, where traditional party lines are increasingly blurred and voters are drawn to figures who break from conventional political molds. This shift is not only about Trump himself but also about a deeper shift in how Americans engage with politics, both on the left and the right. One of the most striking aspects of Trump's political rise has been the way he has redefined the relationship between politicians and the media. His frequent use of social media platforms, particularly Twitter during his presidency, allowed him to bypass traditional media outlets and speak directly to his supporters. This direct communication style resonated with many who felt alienated by what they saw as a biased or out-of-touch mainstream media. However, his attacks on the press and his ability to dominate the news cycle also raised concerns about the role of misinformation and the undermining of journalistic credibility. Moreover, Trump's influence has highlighted the increasing role of identity politics in American political life. His rhetoric often appealed to a sense of cultural and economic displacement felt by many working-class Americans, especially those in rural areas. For some, Trump's politics represented a form of cultural rebellion against what they perceived as an elite, cosmopolitan class that had ignored their needs. His focus on issues like immigration, trade, and national security found a strong resonance among those who felt their way of life was under threat from global trends. At the same time, his presidency sparked a powerful counter-movement from progressive forces, leading to a stronger push for social justice, climate action, and economic equality. The rise of figures like Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, alongside the growing influence of grassroots movements like Black Lives Matter, demonstrates the intensity of the political divide that Trump helped catalyze. His tenure galvanized both sides of the political spectrum, deepening the polarization that has characterized recent American politics. As the 2024 election approaches, the question of Trump's role in the future of the Republican Party is even more pressing. His continued dominance over the party, alongside the emergence of potential challenges, suggests that the GOP may face an identity crisis. Will the party remain committed to Trump's populist vision, or will it seek a new direction with a more traditional conservative candidate? The outcome of this internal struggle could shape not only the future of the Republican Party but also the broader direction of American politics in the coming decades. In conclusion, Donald Trump's legacy is far from settled. His political career has profoundly altered the dynamics of American politics, and his influence will continue to be felt for years to come. Whether viewed as a disruptor or a threat to democratic norms, Trump's impact on the political landscape is undeniable. As the United States moves forward, the lessons of his presidency, both the successes and the failures, will remain an essential part of the national conversation about what kind of democracy America is.